All right, guys, let's talk about this for a little bit. So there was a post on Branch Warren's Instagram. I think it was yesterday. And it's him doing lateral raises. And he's like swinging these fucking laterals. He's actually going up on his toes. And the post basically says, I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't fucking care what advice you want to give me. Like, nobody's going to tell me how to fucking train. You know, I train how I want to train. Something like that. I'm like paraphrasing. It's something to that effect, right? And because there are people like they blast Branch all the time. We're going to get into it right now and like why I think that Branch is correct in the way that he trains. And you might think I'm crazy, like, well, Jerry, then why don't you train like that? But just bear with me, right? There's a lot of people that will point the finger at people like, Branch and say, oh, they're doing it wrong. Science says this, and this is bad for this is bad for that. And here you have a guy who won the Arnold Classic, but second at the Olympia. He's one of the top guys in the entire world for a good period of time. And you're going to say he's training wrong. He accomplished what you wish you could accomplish by doing all your scientific bullshit and you're adding in this and that. Like, he's done it. So you can't say he's doing it wrong. They say that stuff to like my friend Dave Pulcinella too. He does like the 6 foods at work or the 5 foods at work or whatever it is. And people go, you don't have to eat sweet potato. You can eat a Pop-Tart. And I'm like, he won the North Americans. He fucking won the North Americans. You haven't even done a show yet. Like, how the fuck are you telling people? And I had this big argument with Ian McCarthy when I first started YouTube. How the fuck are you morons telling these people that they're doing it wrong? People say that Phil Heath doesn't train hard enough. He won 7 fucking Olympias. Like, he was the best 7 times in the fucking world. So how the fuck can you even say that they're doing it wrong when they've accomplished the ultimate goals? It doesn't matter how you get there. There's a million ways to get there. What matters is you get there. Now, that being said, so I started to look at Branch while he was doing these laterals, right? And I'm looking at him saying, okay, what I'm seeing is just somebody that's not isolating a muscle. And you don't have to isolate a muscle to make it grow. Like these motherfuckers that stay with their arms straight out and they're like doing laterals like this. I'm isolating the muscle. Well, your shoulders look like shit while you're isolating them. Now, why would branches be any better than those isolations? Because for some reason, nowadays, people think that each muscle group, like if you train chest, you're only training chest that day, right? Well, they got it in their head that they're training tris too because tris help press, right? But they have no idea when they're training chest, they're actually training lats too. Like they have no idea, right? Hang on. So I see Branch doing these things and I said, you know what? That kind of reminds me of when I used to train and do laterals. I'd gone up to 110-pound lateral raises before. I believe there's a video of me doing hundreds on this channel if you go way back. But there's also me doing one-arm laterals with 120s. And people used to tell me, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. And then they would come up to me and say, Jerry, what do you do for your traps, right? Now, they've shrunken up quite a bit right now, but you can see in those videos, my traps are very thick, right? My rear delts, my front delts always lacked because I couldn't bench press because of my rotator cuff. Anyways, but the whole point was doing those heavy laterals like that, other body parts grew with it. Now, you might be like, well, Jerry, well, that's not how you do it. Hang on. When you first started training, to put on that amount of mass that you first did, you did whole body routines, maybe 3 times a week, right? Twice a week, 3 times a week. Now what happens is you get to a point where your central nervous system is getting it's getting whacked more because you're increasing the weight, you're increasing the volume, getting stronger, etc. Right? But you're still, when you do your body part split, like chest on Monday, back, when you do those body part splits, you're still training your whole fucking body. Every time you go in the gym and do any exercise, you're training your whole body and you don't even realize it because you're taught bench press for chest. Well, let's break this down a little bit. So if you're benching, right, and you press up, oh, there's my chest, there's my triceps, there's my front delt. What about when you lower it? Your lats activate. Your lats, well, when you lower that down, your lats are activating on the negative. Now they're not activating 100%, but they're activating. All those stabilizing muscles, those complementary muscles that work back and forth, they're all being stimulated. If you've got 350 pounds, 400 pounds in a bench press, and you're lowering it, you think that your lats are not taking that 450 pounds? You may not be rowing it, but your lats are engaging to bring that weight down. And then even when you press up, your lats engage to keep it stable. When you pick up dumbbells, the dumbbells can turn and go different ways. They can do whatever. How many muscles do you think are stabilizing during that? Why do you think people say, well, I get more out of the dumbbells? Because you're training more body parts at once. All right, so you got that concept, right? When you're doing chin-ups and you're pulling up, right, your back. When you go down, you don't even realize you're activating the pecs to go down. You know, like when I tore my pec and I tried to do chin-ups, I could feel it pulling on my pec because every antagonistic muscle group activates when you're working the other muscle group. So if you do Monday, you do heavy bench day, you're doing flat bench, decline or incline bench in dumbbell bench, right? Your lats have got a lot of work. You train back the next day, guess what? Your lats have already been hit from that day. And you don't even realize it. You don't understand how that works. So I look at Branch and said he's throwing that weight, but during the lateral, he's activating pretty much all of his delt, his trap, his upper back, his upper pec, right? He's actually getting a swing with his legs. He's activating the fucking muscles in his legs. He's activating his calves because he was going up in his toes. He was basically doing a calf raise every single time. So he's activating multiple muscles in his body, right? Now, what do you think that does if you're consistently, we'll use the Rich Piana feeder principle, right? His feeder principle was essentially to be training a body part after you trained a body part to get more blood in it, right? Which in theory, there's a bunch of different theories, right? Some science backs it up, some science doesn't. However, the whole point is keeping those body parts trained, even if it's light, even if it's a little bit, could help the growth. Well, that's exactly the same principle when you train 3 times a week when you start, right? You're consistently training that so that your body never goes backwards. That's the same fucking way when you're training with these body part splits. Like, there was a principle that Phil Herndon taught me. He said the body grows as a unit. And I was like, what? I'm like, this is where I learned it all. It was Phil. So I said, what do you mean? So we had this discussion. He said, well, the guy with the jackhammer, he does one movement, right? Why the fuck do these guys have such big, thick fucking physiques? He's like, these guys from doing this, he's like, every fucking muscle is stimulated while they have that jackhammer and they're doing this. And I said, that's interesting. So I started looking more into it, and I have a good friend of mine who she does a lot of core exercises. They're core, but they're like, it would be like a Bosu ball on one foot doing a one-arm lateral raise, right? And she's always had this very tight physique, this very good look to her full muscles, because, and you're like, all she does is train core, right? Like, everything is for core training. They call it core training, but she's training her whole fucking body every time she does everything. So every time she goes in the gym, she's training her whole fucking body. Even though she's trying to train shoulders with the one-arm lateral raise, she's on one foot. That balance creates an asymmetry where all of your stabilizing muscles have to fucking fire to keep you upright, because you're on a ball trying to balance. You're moving one arm over here. Your body's, like, all these muscles activate. So in essence, what Branch is doing is taking isolation movement, like a lateral raise, increasing the weight, and then training other body parts with it. That's it. It's like he's training multiple body parts per exercise. And because he loosens up that form, those muscles activate a lot more than if you had the little fucking lateral raises like this. It allows him to handle more weight. It allows those other body parts to grow as well as what he's training when he does shoulders. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's like a squat, right? You get under a squat. What's the best thing for your legs? Squat. Do you know what the squat trains? Your whole fucking body every single rep after you take it off the rack. It's not your fucking quads. It's, I activate my quads and my glutes. Dude, you're activating every muscle in your body to be able to fucking go down and come back up with that weight on your fucking back. Like, you don't even realize it. And they say the most effective exercise for your entire body, what would it be, right? If you wanted to go with the best mass builders, bench press, right? Which is very front of your upper body. However, when you're training the bench press, you're training multiple muscles, right? You don't even realize when your feet are dug in, your legs are flexed, they're activated, right? Your back is activated. Every muscle in your body is working together to move that bench press in a certain way. Deadlift, every fucking muscle in your body will move that deadlift. Squat, every fucking muscle in your body will move that squat. But you don't realize it to a lesser degree, every fucking muscle in your body will move that lateral raise. It's no fucking different. Now, if you don't believe me, try this. What I want you to do is pick one exercise per body part. So let's say it's bench press. I like to start out with back on these days. So let's say it's chin-ups, right? What I want you to do is go do a chin-up, but I want you to start flexing just like a bodybuilder, right? At your feet, your calves, your quads, your hamstrings, everything, right? Squeeze everything while you do that chin-up. And watch how much easier the chin-up actually is when you concentrate on everything. Now, let your core go and try to do a chin-up. Like, just let your core hang out. You won't be able to do a chin-up. Let your core try and do a dip. You won't be able to do a dip. Just let things relax. You let one thing fucking relax in your body and you fucking can't do it. Take one exercise per body part. So chin-ups, rows, bench press, shoulder press, barbell curl, tricep push down, leg press, and calf raise, right? What I want you to do is flex every fucking muscle in your body while you do that. Okay, consciously flex that. And what's going to happen is you're going to realize, well, fuck, this is crazy because I'll do one set of fucking bench presses and I got to pump in my back, I got to pump in my shoulders. Exactly. What you're doing is you're now tapping into what's actually going on in your body. You're realizing now that you're concentrating on flexing those to a degree where you feel them, but those, even though you don't feel them, you're concentrating on your chest when you're benching. Those muscles are activating just like that while you're doing this. You can't do a chin-up without keeping your core steady, without keeping either your legs straight. If you dangle your legs and try to do pull-ups with leaving your legs not flexed or not, your legs not curled up or your legs extended flexed, you fucking flap all over the place. It's almost impossible to do a fucking chin-up. Like, you're not getting it. Every single exercise you do takes multiple body parts to do that one exercise, right? Now, if you loosen up the form and you increase the weight, those other body parts, they're not taking over. They're assisting what you're trying to do. So Branch is doing these laterals and it's assisting. The traps are assisting. The front delts are assisting. Even the upper back is assisting. Upper back, it's all assisting, but it doesn't take it away from the side delt. It's not like you have to sit there and do 15-pound dumbbell laterals to be able to stimulate your shoulders. Look at Branch's shoulders, right? Look at Johnny Jackson's shoulders. They train the same fucking way. They train together. They do the same exact workouts. Now, they're two different people with two different genetics, but that training system is working for both of them. Why? Why is it working like that? How do they do it? And why are injuries not really happening in the gym? Branch has hurt himself outside of the gym. Well, how the fuck does he not tear things? It's simple, guys. Adaptation. When you start training, right, we're taught to keep this form, this specific form, go slow on the way down, count 2 on the way down, 1 second pause, in 1 second on the way up, all these different things that we're taught, right? Well, Branch started training like that. When Branch started training like that, because he wasn't training heavy like that. When he first started, he was training light, right? And what happens is, over time, you consistently raise the weight, you're consistently doing the same things, the body becomes its function. And next thing you know, you're able to handle 90 pounds, 100 pounds in a lateral raise, swinging them like that, and you don't injure your rotator cuffs, you don't injure your fucking shoulders, you don't injure your biceps, you don't injure your legs, you don't injure anything, right? It's unbelievable how resilient the body is and how it adapts. So perfect example is, I was doing, chest for, the last 25 years, 30 years, however long I've been training, 32 years, I think right now. And I hadn't done bench presses specifically for like 8 years, my rotator cuff. I jumped back on the bench, tried to push it too hard. My body was not adapted to a barbell, the way that the muscles will stabilize and react, the way that the tendons, which will move and react differently than if you did a machine. It is a different aspect due to the fact that a machine, when you press it, everything's going to stabilize a certain way. When you go to do a bench press, that bar can turn like this, it can fall this way, it can fall that way. You now have to stabilize it going through space as opposed to something that's attached to a pivot. So therefore, the tendons, my muscle, was not adapted to training the bench presses like that. So I should not have gone that heavy, right? I was feeling good. I didn't care about that principle. It's not going to happen to me. It tore my pec. So the body will become its function. Branch and Johnny have been training like that so long, and they didn't start out this heavy. They started out light enough and eventually built it up, and their body adapted to that. Their muscles grew. Their tendons and ligaments got used to that type of training and adapted and strengthened. And here we are. They're able to train like that and have people scream at them that they're doing it wrong. Even though they're at the top echelon of where these fucking people that are screaming want to be, they tell them they're doing it wrong. And again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. But I do see these people that try to stick to the scientific principles fail over and over and over again because they can't think. I guarantee many of you watching this video never thought once that your lats are activated on a bench press, especially a heavy one, so much that they're actually getting work. Right, which is why you see a lot of times when they do the prison workouts, when they go to prison, they can't simulate all the different exercises. But a lot of them come out with great physiques. Why? It's only body weight exercises that they're doing. Those body weight exercises, of course, your body's moving through space, which is a high neuromuscular activation, which is important for hormones. Right, that's another thing we can get into another time. But the whole point being is, if you're training a certain way like that and you're consistent with it, and you start out, like a little baby, you start out light and you learn how to crawl. Then you stand, then you learn how to walk, then you learn how to run. It's the same thing. You're starting out with those programs that are your whole body being trained 3 times a week. Then you do the body part splits, and what you're basically doing is being able to overload the muscle that you want to isolate more, right? But you're still activating everything else, right? It's very, very, it's hard to explain to most people because they just know what they know. And what I'm saying right here might be so far out there, but it's the fucking truth, and it's how the body works. It grows as a unit. You don't just train your fucking biceps and your biceps grow. Now, if you have a genetic predisposition for one body part to grow more than the other, that's how that happens, right? You could be training everything evenly and your arms might grow first, your legs might grow first, whatever the case may be. But it's not because they're isolating their biceps or they're isolating their legs. That's not what's happening. It's because they have a genetic predisposition, the way the fiber makeup is there, everything. That is why that body part grows out of control or grows before the other ones. So I look at it, I say, you know what, Branch, here's the deal. Your training works for you. I understand your intensity is part of it, but I also understand the fact that when you're doing these exercises that looks like you shouldn't be doing that way, that you're doing them and your body's responding due to the fact that it grows as a unit. I do understand that, excuse me, the heavier weight that you use for these exercises, even though somebody may be taking hormones, it does change the way your body's hormones react during the workout and after the workout, right? If you're training, like he does 15 reps with something like 90-pound laterals or something like that, he's doing high reps with heavy weight, even though he's swinging, it's putting more of a demand on his body to try to grow for the next workout due to that weight that you may not use because you're doing 15-pound laterals like this. It's going to take you forever to grow. Look at what he's doing. Bring that weight up. I was 18, 19 years old, natural, doing laterals with 30s. And everybody thought I was nuts. And I'm like, well, that's the weight that I can handle, right? 30-pound dumbbell lateral raises at 18 years old. I see people now that are 25, 30, 40 years old, they're using like 15 pounds, 20 pounds. Like it was something that I knew. I was like, the more I do this, the more I see in this area in general. So 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, eventually strapping in 70 pounds, 80 pounds, getting up there. And that area for me, my traps, my shoulders, my upper back was always a very thick looking area. And it wasn't because I was doing things, like isolating, like I was doing these heavy and it does wind up being an isolation movement, but it creates a compound movement effect while isolating because the other body parts take over. So be real and just realize Brad's just not trying to isolate anything. He's trying to get other body parts and then he's trying to get his body to grow and it's working. So in closing, guys, if it's fucking working and he's won all the titles he has and he's one of the best in the fucking world and you're watching him, he doesn't know who the fuck you are, you're watching him, maybe he's not doing it wrong. Maybe he's doing it right. Maybe he took time from when he was a fucking teenager and trained like this until he got to this level. You guys are all looking for the shortcut. You're all like, I'm going to go look at science. Boom. Okay, science book says this. And then you go do it. You look the fucking same this year as you did last year. What the fuck is going on? Well, science. You're science. Branch doesn't have any science to back it up, but I guarantee you if they did a fucking MRI on him, they put MRIs fucking, and they were like they did with muscle meets magnet, they will be able to see when he's doing laterals, all these other body parts lighting up in that MRI, being stimulated at the same time. Now, let me ask you this question, right? Your body can recover, this is going to be up for debate too, muscle-wise, within 5 to 8 hours. You can train body parts multiple times a day. They do it. Bulgarians do it. There's been, the Russians do it. There's Olympic lifters do it. They do it all the time. China, they do it in China. So if your body can recover like that fast, what makes you think you need to do chest on Monday and wait till the other fucking Monday to do chest? Why can't you're not even thinking about the fact that you're doing these multiple body parts and your body is being trained within a week multiple times and you don't even realize it. How's that for science? I'm Biosreen. I approve this message. Thanks for listening, guys, and we are out.